Palestine. Friday morning, quiet demonstration against the occupation. I don't need to tell anybody what a horrific week it has been for the Palestinians. Just that you guys see the whole junction, which says with the picture revenge. Revenge, revenge. And these two guys, by the way, that were killed were on their way to set up a new illegal settlement. Yeah. Just get this proper. Oh! Turn around. Still me? Turn around. Reasonably quiet. Normally there is way more traffic on the road. I don't know why Danny is better taken in the command. Okay, guys. In the last week, at least 15 Palestinians have been killed, 14 by the hands of the Israeli occupation force, and 1 by Zionist settler shitheads. Bringing the total of Palestinians killed over 170. I have 176. I might be incorrect with 1 or 2. But that's where we are right now. June 23rd, 23. Over 170 Palestinians have been killed by Israel this year alone. Just to get a bit of a picture, 2022 was horrible. With 202 Palestinians killed. We're almost there. 3 Palestinians died by a drone attack. Really, such an equal fight. 2 were killed. 2 Palestinians were killed after a shooting at Eli, here down the road. 1 Palestinian that died this week was wounded May 2022. Father of 6 was shot in the head. He died of his wounds earlier this week. 2 bodies have been returned. 1 that was being held by Israel since September 2020. September 2022, yeah. They claimed at that point that there was trying a knife attack. The knife was never found, and his so-called partner was released afterwards with no conditions whatsoever. Only today, 9 months later, not today, this week, 9 months later, his body was returned. Now, when these bodies are returned, the families are being heavily restricted by... Oh, I'm running my pencil. With the funerals, like not more than 25 only family members. So, with the funeral, Israel blocked the entrance, of course, again to the cemetery. because we can. So far, over 400 buildings have been demolished, leaving over 650 Palestinians without a home. 2023. Last week. Now, last night, several raids took place, brutal raids. I read this morning. So I can easily, until last night it was over 70 Palestinians arrested. At least 10 minors, 10 Palestinian kids were arrested in the last week. With over 40 raids. A raid means they come in the middle of the night between 2 and 5. They love to do that. Kick in your door, reorganize your house, might arrest, lots of gas. And that's just general fear, creating fear. One 13-year-old Palestinian kid was arrested in Araba while he was filming the raid of the Israeli occupation force. A 13-year-old Palestinian kid was arrested while filming what the Israeli occupation force was doing. "20 seriously wounded by live ammunition and rubber bullets. A 12-year-old was shot in the back. Another minor was shot in the head. Another was shot in the face and the chest." Okay, Israeli occupation force action, some of the highlights of this horrible week. Let's start with Jenin. Monday, Israeli occupation force entered Jenin. For 10 hours, they raided the city. In the end, took a while, but there are more will come. 7 Palestinians were killed during this raid. 2 15-year-olds. 2 15-year-olds were shot with live ammunition. The one girl was sitting in a garden, filming what was happening. She was shot. Live ammunition, stun grenades, tear gas. Over 90 Palestinians wounded. 90, seriously, over 20 at least in serious condition. 4 ambulances were targeted. Palestinian journalists were under fire. 120 military cars were deployed. Helicopters were used. Snipers on the roofs. Journalist was shot in the stomach. This is Area A under Palestinian Authority control. Israel has nothing to do there. I don't know the amount of people. I think it's something like 100. I don't know. I don't understand. But a ridiculous amount of people have been killed by the Israeli occupation force in Jenin. So, over 90 wounded, 23 in serious condition, 7 killed. On Tuesday, a Palestinian here down the road, Road 60, shoot Zionist settlers. 4 died, 4 wounded. 2 of the people that died were on their way of setting up a new illegal outpost. I will get into Eli later on. So helicopters were used in Jenin to bomb houses. And drones were used to kill an additional 3 Palestinians that were driving in a car. So now the 2 Palestinians that shot the 4 Israelis on Tuesday, their houses have been blown up already. So their families are without a roof over their head. Immediately Israel was able to blow up their houses. Now Eli, that's a illegal settlement which was built in 1984 on then stolen land that Israel claimed as state land. Violent fundamentalists are living there. 5 to 6 outposts are built around it. They're all illegal. And they are all of them on the land and blocking and around Alavan Isharkia. Yeah, no doubt I say this is correct. Sinjar, Isawaya, Kriot, Tulmisaya. All these villages, Sheila, put themselves in the middle. Now, when there is an illegal outpost, you need a road. So, you know, there's this road. When you have a road, you need a gas station. So they built an illegal gas station. Built more roads. And all, of course, for Jews only. Now, after the 4 Palestinians were killed, not the 4 Palestinians, the 4 Zionist settlers were killed by the Palestinians. Zionist settlers decided to go on a total free rampage in occupied Palestine, with the Israeli army standing by and doing fucking nothing, deciding let it burn and let them die. Over 30 pogroms has been taking place, and I read last night that over 310 attacks on just Thursday against Palestinians and their properties have taken place. 17 villages were attacked and over 160 cars. And I don't know the amount of homes that were attacked, tried to burn, vandalized. So, here we go. This is the settlers. Afterwards we'll do the Israeli occupation force. First the settlers, roaming free. Israel occupied Palestine, where Israeli occupation force, there are thousands of soldiers employed. They are able to arrest and harass and I don't know what with the Palestinians. But Zionist settlers, for some reason, well, we do know the reason, they don't want to stop them. So in Luban al-Garbi, cars were torched, shops were vandalized, Palestinians were attacked. Hawara, cars were torched, land was set on fire, stones thrown at Palestinians, Palestinian journalists, Palestinians of course. An ambulance caught fire after it was shot at with tear gas by the Israeli occupation force. Firing of live ammunition by settlers. Kafar al-Dik, houses were attacked twice. In several separate attacks. They came back. They came one day, attacked houses. Second day, attacked houses, blocked entrances, attacked cars. Turmuzaya, houses were burned. Kids were inside. Kids and people were inside. This Hawara all over, but then times 30 different places. Over 30 houses were burned, 60 cars, fields were put on fire, and 1 Palestinian was killed by live ammunition of a settler, of a Zionist shithead, killed a Palestinian. Is he being arrested? No. Is the army closing down on Eli, where these people are coming from? No. Nothing. Are they doing house searches in the middle of the night, a raid on Eli to arrest the hundreds of settlers that came down and attacked these villages? No. Not in Eli, not in Yitzhak, not in any of these motherfucker places. Zero. Three Israelis has been arrested so far of the hundreds of Zionist shitheads that came down their fucking mountains and attacked Palestinians, their houses and their cars. Sebastian, houses were attacked. They went inside the houses. Totally turned the house upside down. Trees were cut down. Fully engulfed in flames. Sinju, firing of live ammunition. Palestinian properties on fire. Urif, they attacked the school. They attacked a mosque. They burned down the Quran. Houses were on fire, attacked by Palestinians. 6 were wounded, one with his skull, the other one on a broken leg. Settlers, 200 settlers, 200 settlers in Urif for 3 hours. They had M16s. They came from Sheila and the outpost Halabin, after an hour and a half. I knew I could have arrived earlier coming from my home. An hour, they're 5 minutes away. It took the Israeli occupation force an hour and a half before they arrived in Urif and then stood by and did nothing. They let it happen for another hour and a half. 105 Palestinians were wounded, 8 by live ammunition, including live ammunition from settlers. Who the fuck gives them guns? Israeli occupation force claimed they didn't know. They didn't know. Like they didn't know Hawara. But you know what? We just let 500 settlers walk down Hawara and it will be all A-okay. They could have been stopped. They stopped me when I wanted to go to Hawara that night. I wasn't allowed in. Settlers were allowed in. Everybody knew. Aviatar, of course, on Tuesday night, hundreds of Zionist settlers went up to Aviatar and since then are still there with the approval of Bibi and the other ministers, of course. A new outpost, a new illegal outpost has been set up between Eli and Maale Levona. 6 caravans, new roads, all in one night. In Urif, settlers cut down the electricity of the city, of the village. I'm not sure up until now if they have their electricity back. Nobody cares. They are very proud of it. This is what they want to do now. Cut down electricity of all villages, cut down their little of water system that they have. Just, Hebron. Weekly closure of the market in the old city, so that Zionist settlers can have their march and shout racist slurs at Palestinians. Yasuf. Settlers killed a dog and they stole 10 sheep. 2 days later they returned to attack the cars at the entrance of the village. Same at Burka. Burin. Houses and cars were attacked. Birin. Palestinians were attacked. Bruchin. Cars were attacked. Houses were attacked. I already said Birin earlier. No, that was Burin. Yeah. Birin. I don't know. Palestinians were attacked. Here again. This was Bruchin. A car was attacked while a family was inside. Kiryat Arba. closed off roads, cars were attacked. In I think this is in Urif, where totally 15 cars totally burned, 65 cars were damaged, and crops burned. Yalut. Settlers shot and injured 2 miners in the head. Another arson attack also over there. Now, Palestinian officers working within the military liaison office, Lila office, communicated about the attack before, based on social media messages, and again the Israeli occupation force decided to do nothing. Zaatara June, there was an attack. In Tuba, attacking Palestinians, breaking windows. Palestinians were arrested. Then of course there is the whole demonstration in the north with the Syrians, with the Druze. I don't know how many people were wounded there. 5 were arrested. Oh, on this one, Jonathan Polak had a hearing. He was arrested in Beta earlier this year, in January. Since then he has been under house arrest. He had a hearing this week. Next hearing will be July, as he requested to be held accountable in a military court in occupied Palestine, how he should, as he was arrested in occupied Palestine and not in 48 borders. Also the settlers should go to a military court for trial for their crimes here. So it's a principle thing. So I don't know what the next hearing will be, if they will agree that his next hearing should be in a military court in occupied Palestine, or if they keep him where he is regarding his trial. Walid Daka, 37 years in jail right now, is suffering from a very rare bone marrow cancer in his spine. He was supposed to be released earlier this year, but in 2018 he got another 2 years. Last year he was diagnosed with cancer, and his family is pushing pressure on Israel to release Walid on humanitarian grounds. It's a bit, you know, like an oxymoron, Israel and humanitarian, I'm sorry to say. But as far as Palestinians is concerned, they're not being seen as people. Because if they are being seen as people, then you really should wonder what the fuck we are doing to these people. But Walid, even after fucking 37 years in jail, that's not enough for Israel. They don't want to release him. They want him to die slowly in jail. And the way it's going right now, it won't take very long. 2/3 of his right lung was taken out. He can barely walk, he can barely talk. But no, just God forbid that he would spend the last few bits, let's go a bit closer, with his family, and you know, maybe with some pain treatment. Now the last time I spoke to the family, which was last Saturday, was it? Yeah. Walid is getting medication for his heart and whatever, but he already for a few days at that point did not get his pain medication for the cancer in his spine. Cancer in your spine is a nasty thing. So tomorrow at 6th. There's going to be another demonstration in Baka al-Jarabia, where he's from. So we had a hearing this week, a special committee regarding his humanitarian release. But the committee decided to postpone, of course, the hearing. Again, they should die slowly in jail. So we're on top of that. But also what I understood from the family, no matter what the decision is going to be, if they're going to decide to release him, the family, the Israeli family will, file a case against his release. And if he's not being released, then, it will go to the higher court in the end, probably. So that is Walid, still in prison. Very, very sick. Then, of course, we have the Sublaban family who are living in the Muslim quarters in the old city in Jerusalem, occupied Palestine. They were originally, this is a very long story, but they moved in 40s because they were kicked out of their house in Jerusalem by Israel. They rented the house from the Jordanian apostrophe. In 67, the Jordanian apostrophe moved hands to Israel apostrophe, which moved hands to an organization. And of course, since then, for the last 47 years, that organization is trying to kick out Nora and her husband from our house. They've been fighting every decision. The last one was that their house, that they will be evicted starting on June 11. They heard this week, I think on Tuesday, there was a mistake with the original order or whatever, and now it has been postponed to starting June 28 till July 11. I don't think it was, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, next Wednesday, I have no words for what they are experiencing. Now, one of the most ridiculous stories with this family is that they're living in this old, beautiful building. They are the last Palestinian family left. The rest has been taken over already by Zionist settlers. Again, Zionist settlers in the Muslim quarter in occupied East Jerusalem. We have nothing. Settlers have nothing to do there. But they're working hard to cleanse the old city from every Palestinian out there. So at a certain point, the Sublavan family wanted to have air conditioning, and no, they were not allowed because the unit would damage the historic look of the building. Now 9 families are living there, settler families. They are allowed to have an air conditioning. Just Nora is not allowed to have an air conditioning. Now, in 2016, it was decided she could live there with her husband, but without her kids. Her kids couldn't live there for, whatever ridiculous reasons, because they had, whatever in other places. So the kids had to move out. They're not allowed to renovate, and they're not allowed to do anything, just suffer. They were supposed to be allowed to live there to 2026, and only they would die. Well, that didn't happen. And then in 2018, Nora got hernia in her back, lower back, and in her neck. She had to leave the house for treatment. The Zionist settlers used that with cameras on her door, pointed at her door, to claim to the court that she doesn't live there. So she should be kicked out. The court agreed. No. For that purpose, for the purpose of kicking her out of the house, the family doesn't live there. They do not, have the right to live there. Regarding Social Security, they also took, took their takes your health insurance away, etc. Family took also Bitur Leumi to court regarding Bitur Leumi. There are, Israeli residents. They are not citizens. They are residents, so you can be kicked out anytime. And I'm not done yet. Okay. Well, guys, I will talk about Israeli occupation force and their ridiculous actions this week. I'm sorry I spoke so much. Forever listened. Quiet, Zaatara, looking the occupation in the eye, guys. Looking the occupation in the eye. Over 310 attacks last night by Zionist settlers. Just not last night, the full Thursday, 24 hours. Zionist settlers on Palestinians and their properties. 310. 3 settlers have been arrested. Of the 310 attacks, of the hundreds and hundreds of settlers that came down the mountain to burn houses and burn Palestinians, 3 have been arrested. This is exactly what Israel wants. Let it burn. Four o'clock, Zaatara. We'll be there. And what we do till then, that will be a surprise. I'm not going to tell you. Yeah, because maybe Zarka will be listening. You never know. So, hundreds of settlers right now over these mountains are in Aviatar, illegal settlement. They went up there anyway with approval from the government. 2 additional illegal outposts that I am aware of in this area has been set up in the last week, and definitely 2 in the Jordan Valley. Israel is trying to kill and cleanse occupied Palestine from every Palestinian.
She want to join us to Kadum.
Hold on, we're going to stop this live. Yalla, bayoush. Can I stop this live?
I hope that you enjoyed it this time. It was a pleasure. Wonderful weather. I don't have any complaints, Any complaints. Everything is okay.
Alhamdulillah.
And with that, we're going to end this